Yeah, if we're going to look at the pure picks, I have a slight favour towards the way in which Cypher is playing, but my gut is still going with Raisy. He always seems to turn it up a little bit more on LAN and has more of a pedigree on Quake Champions LAN than Cypher does. So I'm expecting big things for him. I do think that this could be his event as well, personally.
And we look at the picks, the immediate clutch ban. I mean, that just makes sense, doesn't it, against
Absolutely,
Raisy?
yeah.
We know that Cypher is not the biggest fan of clutch on the best of days, and Raisy has pretty much the best clutch in the world right now. So that early ban, I mean, don't even question it. It's definitely a personal ban there.
But overall, like,
commission.
It's not like a huge separation. I think that the picking of Anarchy on Corrupted Keep is like the biggest anomaly there. Picking Sorlag on Awoken is a little bit more unusual as well, but at the end of the day, he wants to brawl against Raisy. He knows the way Raisy wants to play, so having an extra padding stack is beneficial. I think the Anarchy could go exceptionally well, or he could just get ruined on that map. So we'll have to see how he plays it. It's going to be a delicate strategy for Cypher to pull that one off. It was obviously a pick back in the day, but nowadays in the playstyle and the way that game's evolved, I don't think it's as strong on that map.
Well, I think if I've got to push you all then before we get into this one, starting with you, Dan, and we'll work our way along. Prediction, map score?
Raisy to 2-1.
All right, Flea?
I'm going to go with Raisy as well, 2-1.
Brian, you keeping it Raisy the whole way through?
I mean, I hate to simply copy the lads, but I do agree as well. I think a 2-1 is likely, and just Raisy, you would think he has the edge by previous results. Even though Cypher got the victory in Stage 3 weeklies, Raisy's just more consistent, right?
That does make sense. It is the consistency that's key, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to play devil's advocate, I believe, in the Belarusian Bruiser. As we get into our opening game, it seems like we're almost ready to slip inside this one. Corrupted Keep being the opener. Dan, it should be a fantastic best of 3, and I'm glad I get the pleasure of casting it with you.
Me too, my friend. I think this is the one map where I fear a bit for Cypher. I think it could spiral out of control quite quickly. But at the end of the day, as everyone's just referred to extensively, he's come on so much in the last 3 or 4 months that I'm sure he's going to pull on a great fight.
I think he will. I think this really could go either way. Innately, just as a series, I think we're going all 3 maps, and it is going to be a bloodlust between the both of them. Cypher starting it up by landing a rocket onto Raisy. It does remove the mega pickup that he's already been able to achieve. Cypher muddying the timing as well, wasting a little bit of time back over towards Heavy, and now again starting to roam around.
Yeah, so as much as the Anarchy is obviously a slightly more delicate champion than Galena, what I believe Cypher would want to do is use the speed to manipulate the map into his advantage. It's the one thing Raisy will be struggling with, is to try and keep up with the pace that Cypher wants to set, and so he needs to make sure he does that, which he does. And he does the opening with that first frag, Raisy dropping far too aggressively down onto Cypher there. Cypher has already taken a good lead and advantage, but good counter from Raisy here, somehow taking out the Belarusian to even it up.
Yeah, don't talk too soon there, Dan, as the response is pretty good from Raisy. We're only a minute in, and it's 1 frag apiece already. So the claws are definitely out for both of them. It's an early morning wake up, but they both had their coffee and breakfast. Bellies are full, and their heads are certainly full of ideas for how this game is going to go. Right now, though, a bit of calm in between both of them, slowing it down slightly as they duke it out over control of the Heavy, both walking away from the fight and barely walking away at that, more limping, Dan. They've taken a ton of damage, and they've had to scarf her.
Yeah, Cypher doing an amazing job to make sure his presence is going to be felt on those item pickups. Doesn't want to give Raisy a free stack, because that's where Raisy becomes most dangerous, and that's when he's able to take the initiative, which he does so well. But as we more than well know ourselves, Cypher is the master of doing that continuous damage from range, making sure himself is relatively safe, and as long as he can keep Raisy's stack at bay, Cypher's always going to be in with a good shout on this map.
All about the LG right now, it seems, both doing damage from a distance and tickling each other. Raisy's attempting to set up back behind the statue, drops the totem down. He wants to just lurk around Mega Spawn and wait to try and achieve it. Nice little tap from Cypher to knock him back into it, so he'll suck that one up and replenish his overall stack. Tons of damage from their HMG as well. Cypher actually relatively lucky to even get away from that, Dan. It seemed like that could have been his demise.
It could. Cypher is definitely living on the edge. Still has the ejection though if he needs to use it.
And Raisy, just with a few taps going out, pepper spraying the opposition. He's starting to get control of the map here on Keep as well. We do normally refer to it as Raisy's Keep, and he's certainly trying to raise hell here in the minute. Pushes back out. That's both of the major items on this rotation picked up, but you wouldn't really notice it by glancing at his overall stack as it's being torn to shreds. Cypher doing a lot of damage, a boatload in fact, as he goes in for the execution. He wanted to finish him, but couldn't quite get over that final hurdle.
No, and Cypher's doing an amazing job at the minute of allowing Raisy to run the items to a certain degree over and favouring positional advantage. We can always see that Cypher is keeping his range, he's pushing in from the high ground, and you can just see how much damage Raisy is taking as he's cycling these items. At the moment, Raisy's getting completely outplayed by Cypher, as Cypher's letting him do what he thinks he wants, but it's ultimately a trap.
And this is vintage Cypher as well.
Exactly.
This is way more akin to sort of what we've been discussing, right, in the pre-ramble for both of our days. We were saying how he's looked a lot more like his old self again. He's going to need to look like a bit of a slayer on this one, though. Chased quite aggressively by Galena. Is forced to fall back, but still survives with 80 HP. Just hoovering up some of those lights to rebuild himself. Does spot out another totem as well, so he can do a bit of cleanup.
He's just kiting Raisy around the map. Cypher doesn't want to make any engagement unless it's on his terms. So he's allowing Raisy to come for these fights. He's almost baiting him in. That time it didn't work, but you can see what the strategy is. He's using the speed advantage to reposition, try and guide and kite Raisy around the map, and in return deal immense amount of damage, so Raisy is always on the back foot. And this is almost kind of akin to how Rafa was treating Raisy to a certain extent as well. So might be a strategy to get and overcome Raisy, as he's just kind of the greed and the confidence match up to mean Raisy is never afraid to commit, and Cypher's playing on that mentality.
That is an interesting talking point. I do wonder if potentially that could have been done based off the back of the VODs, obviously. If you think about the wealth you could learn from those two VODs back from Poland, when Rafa essentially just dismantled Raisy's playstyle down. There's probably a lot to learn, but for Cypher right now, he's not learning, he's teaching. School is in session. Unfortunately for him, though, it seems like Raisy wants the tension. This man is causing absolute problems for Cypher, starting to run rings around him as they tie it back up. We're at 3 frags apiece, and we're only just 5 minutes into our first map.
Yeah, so on the purest level, the way Raisy likes to play is very robotic and mechanical. He will cycle the items perfectly. He then has unbelievable executional skill to forge his aggression and make his pushes successful. But the very, very best players, people like the Cyphers and Rafas, can almost manipulate and abuse that playstyle because it can be somewhat predictable. Obviously, when he gets ahead of steam, it's almost indomitable the way he plays, but there is a weakness in it, so Raisy needs to have a bit more respect.
LG battle back in action. Beautiful tracing so far. Raisy being able to thwart off any plans from Cypher, but they both keep themselves close. Raisy realizing it's not worth the overcommittal, the potential fact it could come back to bite him in the bottom. He bides time. Instead, rapidly rotates his way back round towards the heavy and waits for it to spawn in. That rocket is fantastic from Cypher, but there's one back from Raisy. Everything was blow for blow. They're matching each other perfectly, Dan.
Yeah, you can see the game plan though. I think if Raisy makes small adjustments and works on his positioning around the items beforehand, this map would be a lot easier, because at the minute, yes, he's got the lead, but it is so hard fought for the amount of control he's had in his hands.
The amount of steam that's going to be coming out for both of them, like the mental fortitude of this game is already clearly on show.
Well, this next minute is hugely important because it's the first time in the map Raisy's had a clean stack and full item control. So if Cypher can live this one out, he's done exceptionally well. And stealing away that Mega is the perfect start.
Keeping him stuck there as well. It's an awkward angle to try and fight from for both players from behind the statue. He's actually taking a fair bit of damage. Raisy, not in a great spot whatsoever, but that rocket could have been his saving grace. There's enough damage to at least keep Cypher back for now. He doesn't fancy his chances of sprinting in and trying to do anything too risky, and instead just has to rotate, absorbing whatever he can find close back towards the Mega Spawn. Raisy coming in. Basically, this is a role reversal we've literally just witnessed, but it works out so much better as Raisy gets the frag.
Yeah, Cypher obviously got himself a little bit stuck hitting Totem on the way through, weakened him to the point where he wasn't confident to go Oh, now he's into Raisy. He did do a lot of damage, but that's just before the heavy pickup, and now Raisy is in a very solid position.
Yeah, how quick he is as well. Even this early in the morning, Raisy, the transition to shotgun, Dan, his arsenal control is absolutely fantastic. Still wielding those rockets to a high pedigree as well, as he'll slap one into the face of Cypher, trying to show that he is a certified lip remover. Love taps on the way out, pumping him full of a little bit of lead. Raisy back on the roam in a great position here. 3 frags up now, 8 minutes into the game. This is a good way to play keep.
Yeah, a minute and a half to go. It's still definitely possible, but Cypher's obviously needing to take more and more risks now, and had you the injection on that point, taking a lot of damage, has to reset. Plenty of time for Raisy to also get in a position for this heavy. Cypher does need to compete for it though, which is why he's there. He's done a lot of damage. That last shotgun did indeed miss. And Raisy also steals away the light armor, meaning Cypher's life is exponentially harder.
A horrible position to be in now for the Belarusian bruiser. Raisy certainly has this game in the palm of his hand. There's only 60 seconds left to work with as well. It was so close up until around the 6-minute mark, and now it's just the Raisy show doing what he does best as he's introducing Cypher to Big Papa Pop, and it is not a nice family introduction.
And this game is obviously very much over, but you can see what the playstyle and the thought process coming out from Cypher was, and it was so effective for such a long time. But there was 1 or 2 moments where he wasn't able to convert. Raisy did come away with the advantage, and then that shifted the momentum firmly in his favor, to the point now where we see a commanding lead that looks relatively easy, but it was extremely hard fought.
Seems like essentially at this point, the game is set in stone as well. Not really much more for Cypher to do here, and that is the way it's going to go on keep. It's always historically been a really good map for Raisy, and I mean, that was unnecessary, but it is Raisy, so you can't blame him.
Of course he does.
He gets them in every time, every finals. He has at least one.
He does. I mean, it's a well-deserved victory. Like I said, it was... he did what he needed to do. He kept strong. It could have crumbled under that pressure because Cypher was putting a huge amount of damage out for the first 4 or 5 minutes. But Raisy kept his mentality there and kept to his guns. And then as soon as he gets control, that's where he makes things look very easy. It's a grind to get there, but it was a commando victory as well.
It's a shame as well because like it was kind of just off that 5-minute mark. Obviously, it seemed like he was going to be able to completely start locking down the game. Cypher swoops in, steals the Mega, and it was like, all right, maybe there's actually still a chance here. He can keep building off the back of this. He's denied everything that Raisy had set up. And then Raisy just flips the switch, goes sicko mode, and from that point forward, it was Raisy just on a tear.
There's a big moment, I think it's around the 4th or 5th frag, where there was, I think it was here, a rocket exchange, where Cypher just came off worse for wear. Could have killed Raisy just before he got his totem down, and if he got that frag, it could have been a completely different game. But from then on, it was the Raisy show, more or less. Yes, each frag was very hard fought, and you can see Raisy coming out with low health on a number of them, but definitely Lady Luck was in his favor today on some of those situations, and once he had control, it was kind of no looking back.
Yeah. It's just standard Raisy. He plays it so well. That was just disgusting. The body hurt coming through in the end. He backs the Ramsey, slaughters Cypher, and walks away with a victory there on Raisy's Keep. Still living up to the hype with the namesake. Now then, as you can see with the stats that are on screen, 11 frags to 3 deaths. As he was doing a fair bit of damage, Dan.
No, he was, and that's what you expect from Raisy. 93% shotgun. I think that might be the highest I've ever seen in a duel. That's pretty crazy. And he uses it a lot as well, which is incredibly impressive. The rest, more or less standard. Nothing really to say on that front. Raisy is known for incredible amounts of damage, and that's what he did. And so that's why I was giving such credit to Cypher for the first few minutes, to how well he was able to play the map and stay alive. But Raisy made his pressure count at the end of it.
No, he certainly did. Obviously, a fair slog throughout the first half, and then kind of what we've come to expect from Raisy throughout the second half of the game. Let's see if that changes then, as now we move on to something a little bit different. It's Blood Run with Doomslayer and Ranger. Cypher being on the Ranger, and Raisy being the Doom.
Yeah, Blood Run is obviously going to be slightly more even, partly because of the picks, meaning Cypher now has a good fighting stack, even to that of Raisy. He has slightly more utility with that orb as well, but ultimately Blood Run is his home. So Raisy is no slouch on this map, but do expect Cypher to, I did say 2-1, so I definitely still want to favour Cypher on this map. Access to the rail is going to be a huge one as well. As we spoke about quite a lot in the beginning and the opening credits here, that Cypher's well versed in defensive play, dealing extensive amount of damage, unreturned damage as well, and so that rail will definitely be a massive utility for him.
It's interesting as well, because actually when I spoke to Raisy, Dan, back when we were doing the interviews, he was talking to me about the fact that he actually feels like Ranger is one of the most overpowered heroes in the game at the minute, in the sense of just his Dire Orb alone, where it can be used so aggressively. So let's see if he will come back to eat his words. As we get into the game here, let's see what is going to go down. Raisy opening it up, playing a very slow affair. Not wanting to make too much noise as he wanders his way out, fires off the first rocket, and gets a little bit of damage off onto Raisy to open up the game. And that's the shotgun already in his arsenal.
Yeah, and as you said, we see the power of the Dire Orb coming out as Cypher picks up both major items with that. And Raisy goes down, trying to push in far too early for the Mega. Obviously not knowing where Cypher was as well, being caught off guard. So that's, once again, a perfect start for Cypher. And as we well know, 1-0 lead on Blood Run is all the lead you need some of the time. He is caught down here in the lower channels. He's going to try and man up as he is a little bit caught. Cypher pushes in with that Dire Orb. He's taking a lot of damage in return, and he himself needs to back off. As Raisy's done an incredible job to not only keep his life, but to push Cypher away.
It's surprising he actually did get away, surviving that one. Good use being able to break line of sight, get around the corner and keep himself far enough away that Cypher wasn't confident to swing on it. Cypher building up, better off the spawn with his overall stack. Raisy did get the heavy. Cypher's got an awful lot of health to play with, and that light is going to be such a blessing for him. Dire Orb back up as well, so he has that extra mobility and aggression to play with. Raisy appears out of thin air as he's right behind him again. He's so close towards death's door, but Cypher, he can't quite finish him. He doesn't fancy his chances of overcommitting again as well. Major items are about to spawn in. You don't want to risk it as he gets blocked. He couldn't get the heavy, Dan.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. We obviously all saw the thought process, but Raisy just coming in time made Cypher panicked a little bit and didn't get the heavy. It wasn't too painful in the end. It does mean Raisy obviously picks up the item and gets himself back on the board in terms of stack, but it does mean Cypher loses out on control.
You can see the brain power at work between both of them right now. It's so tense. You could cut the air with a knife. Raisy, though, instead opting to cut through Cypher with an LG. Chops him in half, sees him adjust. Smart read, quick adjustment as well. You can see the flick coming through. He instantly had the game sense to know exactly what Cypher was up to. And he traps him in a corner. Here comes the railgun. But Dan, he doesn't win the fight. He busts out the shotgun, but it won't matter. He won't be singing his praises there as Cypher's slain him.
I mean, that's just pure arrogance from Raisy, really. I mean, obviously, I thought he would have died from that rail, which is why Raisy was so lackadaisical. But you just can't be that careless in the knockout, essentially a knockout match against Cypher.
Oh. Trying to use that Dire Orb as essentially a hole punch to leave some holes in Raisy, but it won't work out. This man is fueled with aggression. That is the worst possible state.
Oh, those rockets. Oh my word.
God, how has he actually even survived this? He was just being juggled by them.
Booping around, double jumping over everything, but getting knocked around at the same time.
Completely slapped about the place, damn. But now it's tied. Again as well, it's so little into the game. It's only coming up towards the 4-minute mark, and it's already been chock-a-block full of just action after action.
Yeah, but I think Cypher's obviously being a bit more reserved after taking a few brutish engagements where he came off worse for wear. Though wants to make sure any engagements against Raisy are far more probable and favoured. Good use of the rail, chipping away at Raisy's stack. He doesn't want to take engagements until he's done at least a significant amount of damage. Whereas Raisy, on the other hand, he's trying to force engagements. Ouch.
Few tags here and there. Cypher backpedals his way in towards the Mega. That is the lifeline that he needed, but he actually gets chunked by that rail. Raisy really using it when it matters most. Purely just a deal, disgusting amount of damage, especially when he comes clean off the top rope. The elbow drop onto Cypher, and Raisy, he takes the lead.
I do think Raisy's rail is probably his most underrated skill. Uses it so effectively. Cypher pushes in amazingly aggressive, but it's not going to pay out as Raisy does pick up the Mega and Cypher loses his life.
Raisy just knows as well. He's got the flow of the game in his hand. Working out very easily for him. All the twists and turns are being countered. Tri-bolt spam back up as well. Basically manipulating Cypher into pushing exactly where he wants him to. Keeping him trapped in a box, Dan.
Yeah, and you can see that Cypher somewhat changed the way he wants to play just because of how powerful Raisy's mechanical skill is, and it's so difficult when you play a player like that because it does force you out of your comfort zone in the way you want to play. Got 4 minutes remaining, only a 2 frag deficit.
Rockets back out. Few shots landing. Tri-bolt spam doing damage as well. Cypher does navigate past. Still holding on the close angle, and Raisy is aware of this. Wants no chance of any Cypher shenanigans, no dire orb disrespect, so he can't claim himself another heavy. Instead, as he comes back, he's actually looking to have a bit of a scrap here. Charges out. Trying to go aggro, but it's not going to work well. Raisy's got off scot-free with both of the major items. This is possibly the worst spot that Cypher could be in.
And you can see how proactive Raisy is. As soon as he gets a stack where he's confident, he will just go and he will try and force fights. And he's probably one of the best players in the world at getting engagements that he wants to get. You can see as soon as he picks up these items, he rotates them perfectly, he will then just press go.
Raisy. Like a silent assassin. Let's see if this Agent 47 can rip his opponent to pieces. Good timing. Nice adjustment on the rockets as well. Double jump coming out to play there so he can invent a new angle, essentially. Raisy takes that one hit. Actually drops into his
Not sure that was deliberate. No.
Yeah, I don't know. He definitely could have got the kill, but instead just pops rage.
Crazy things.
Won't matter overall. Raisy definitely still has the lead and the grasp on the game, and he gets a Mega off the back of it as well. Just quite a questionable position to fall into.
I'm really also enjoying now this switch in tempo. As I was literally just talking about, Raisy loves to plus go when he gets his advantage, but having realized that that wasn't working, he does the complete opposite. He gets into an amazingly strong position and then goes dead silent. That just puts your opponent on edge because they don't know where you are or what you're doing. And now you can see where he's waiting. He's not waiting around the major items. He's waiting in the side rooms because he knows Cypher wasn't showing on main map. Cypher obviously responds and kind of steals away the Mega. 2 rails back to back though. That means Raisy needs to run for his life.
Raisy. Holding for now. He can delete as much time as possible off the clock. That's also going to be hugely beneficial for him. This is also a best of 3, so obviously if he will take this map, he has taken the series and bested Cypher. He knows that. Doesn't want the chance of it getting any more bloated. Cypher coming around the corner, shoots the rail, but to no avail. It won't actually land, Dan, and this is really getting quite bad. He has to commit onto this frag. If he can at least make it 4-3, then there's potential in that final minute.
Yeah, you could see Raisy definitely anticipating what was going on there. And Cypher does come out with a frag with a minute to go. This is more than possible now, Jackie. He just needs to find him. He knows where he is.
Tracking him down, chasing him like the bounty hunter this man is, as he'll drop back down, keeping his belly low to the ground, sees the Mega.
He also has the orb up before the end of the map. That's going to be his biggest lifeline to chase Raisy down.
It's such a huge bit of utility in terms of navigating the map to keep him close, especially to a Doom as well with that double jump. Rail initiation works well, launches himself back up. Timing's fantastic as well. That's the instant spawn on the heavy.
He's used the orb already, but he has got Raisy. He will be killing him here as Cypher ties it up with 15 seconds to spare.
And he's played it picture perfect. That was his Mona Lisa play, and I'm absolutely in Louvre with it. Let's see if he can carry on to at least actually take this one to a third map. He's getting the damage off Raisy. So close to death, being chased. Cypher, he's got the game in the palm of his hand, and the LG killing blow. It'll be the rail finisher. We're going to a third map.
Oh, that was sick. And Raisy actually booped him into range. Cypher showing us why he is back. That was absolutely incredible.
Literally everything he had to do and the way he had to play it was perfect. Just second by second, built his time until he felt comfortable and then just ran away with it. We're going to a third map, Dan, and this is probably the dream scenario for this series. This was the game that I was looking forward to, fresh off the bat, and we've got what we wanted.
Yeah, we were all going to be honest, like, we wanted to see a third map. Like, I love watching both of these players play. The level of skill is unreal. I mean, in respect to that game, on some levels, Raisy gave up a huge advantage. As I was talking about in the mid-game, Raisy had the initiative, he had the pressure, and because he wasn't catching Cypher, he tried to be tricky. He tried to slow the tempo. He then began to hide and trick Cypher, but Cypher, being as high skilled as he is, didn't fall for that, and because of it actually regained control with uncontested. He stole away the Mega, he took position, and then he managed to take the advantage and get Raisy firmly on the back foot. So it just truly shows how great of a player Cypher is, to be in the moment at all times, and he just read Raisy. So Cypher is back, and all pressure's on Raisy now, if I'm honest.
It is, especially when this is what the last bout will consist of. Awoken, Cypher on Sorlag, and Strog and Pika for Raisy. This is going to be aggressive as you like, Dan. Chaos is going to ensue on this map.
I will say that definitely favors the way Raisy wants to play. He looks most comfortable in those situations where it is fighting, it is brawling, and it's quick. So Cypher's the one that definitely needs to adjust and respond, but that's exactly why he's picked Sorlag. He knows it's difficult on Awoken if you can't match the tempo, and so he wants to pick a heavy champion that can match not only the speed but the stack, and Cypher has both in his advantage. If he can get control, I think he can walk away with this.
I genuinely think we're just going to have an absolute scrap on our hands. Just second after second, frags all across the board. Starting on Cypher then, let's see what this big girl can get up to. The Reptilian Destroyer, the spit's coming out early, but look how much stack he's already lost. Raisy is burning him to a crisp, but the response from Cypher is to get aggro, charge into his face, do damage. He beats him to the Mega Spawn as well, and he's actually ripped him to pieces, Dan. Raisy, lucky to even be breathing.
We can already see the benefit of picking Sorlag on this map. Most of the champions would have been dead by now, but look how healthy Sorlag is as she survives and restacks. So already showing its worth. And I was about to say, I think the rail for Cypher once again is going to be such a valuable tool to chip away at Raisy before he takes these engagements, because as we saw on the previous two maps, as soon as Raisy gets up close and personal, he can do so much damage, and Cypher needs to use that rail to make sure Raisy is always at a slight deficit. And as we can see, if he's not, he will just run at your face.
Raisy, fresh off the back of the restratification right now, looking to try and get a stranglehold in the game, but it's the ring out. Cypher sends him flying as he boops him clean off and then boops himself back over towards the mega spawn as well. Fighting towards Banana. This potassium powerhouse scares Raisy and sets himself up for the spawn.
Yep, and that's the one thing Raisy obviously needs to be careful of, is that Cypher's obviously going to match him in these combat situations, and off the spawn, Sorlag is obviously very, very tanky. Got to be careful. This could be actually quite a difficult situation for Raisy, because he's not used to people that can match him in a brawl, and particularly when Cypher has that stack advantage, it's going to be... Raisy definitely needs to recalculate some of these fights.
That's probably the dream scenario for Cypher as well. If he wants to live his movie here, he's got to get Raisy out of his comfort zone, not allow him to play the style of Quake he normally does.
And that's exactly what we saw if we think back to Poland with Rafa. He was picking heavy champions against Raisy and then matching him in these brawls. It's almost the way in which Cypher would be looking to play this map.
You also get that added benefit of fresh off the spawn. Even if Raisy kills you, you come back in with such a bigger stack, you're ready to go again.
Exactly, yeah, and the speed to get in quickly, and that's how he regained control. Off the spawn, picked the lightning gun up and just sprinted into Raisy.
Yeah,
in a similar vein as I was talking about, Rail's going to be important for Cypher. Raisy needs to use it in a quite a similar fashion, because he can't now afford, and we see him respecting Cypher, can't afford to take these one-on-one fights and engagements. It is Cypher that wants to take the initiative.
But they're both going to go back in against each other head on. Raisy with a bounce pad. Gets back up, close towards LG room. Pika comes through. First time we've actually seen Pika be quite punishing, but Cypher responds even better, running rampant with his rocket barrage.
Yeah, and Cypher obviously respecting and understanding he's definitely on the ascension here, so wants to make that count. Look how much damage Raisy's doing with nothing to work with. The balls on the man.
Wild how much he can get done at any given point in the game. He's also finally starting to get a bit more control as well. He's now got a mega health added to his kit. Cypher, he's waiting, lurking around towards heavy. He knows how vital it is he gets this additional armor to be able to build himself up and be a bit more beefy going into the next fight. Tickles down the Pika as he'll rinse his way through it with a rail, holding onto the close angle as well and expecting the push. 8 seconds till Mega's up, and Cypher sets up towards mid.
That's such an important rail from Raisy. That's given him the impetus to go in strong. He still didn't get the kill though, as Cypher hits perfect rockets.
Oh, that's disgusting, Dan. Direct rockets galore. He's hitting all the shots, peeking from the top rope as well. He wants to try and really double down on this one. He's tearing Raisy to shreds now. The LG's coming back through as he'll start to burn another hole into him. Zaps him.
But he
That's
knows,
it. Cypher's
Raisy knows he got Cypher low, and he knows there's plenty of time before this next mega, which is why he's making this push. That rail has been good though. Cypher needs to be careful because he's now railable. He's not even going to push in for the mega before he gets that health. Really smart play from Cypher, but also good situational awareness from Raisy, appreciating how much time there was before the major items. And that exchange did delay the heavy, meaning Raisy can do some damage on it.
Cypher letting him pass actually there. Pushes back from the railgun. This gives him room to roam and try and waste a bit of time as he gets back over by the mega. We've just hit the 5-minute mark. This is probably the most one-sided game we've had out of them in favor of Cypher in the early game.
Yeah, Cypher now with the advantage, with the stack, he knows he just needs to do the basics. He's got the up on Raisy in terms of stack, so he just needs to play the items, secure the items as best he can, and he just needs to do the basics. He does the basics well, he will win this map. That's what you can see. He's pushing out, securing the items early. Those rockets from Raisy were exceptional though.
This is starting to become quite disgusting. Talking of which though, Raisy, it doesn't take much for him to flip the switch. This could be the beginnings of that. He likes to raise hell, like Smoking Joe Fraser, the Hellraiser, and he's starting to raise hell with the rocket gun. Flavor takes the peek back around towards Heavy as well, slams himself in. Cypher is being blown to pieces, and just like that, Raisy is now 1 frag away. In the space of 60 seconds, Dan, he's turned the tide of the game.
All it takes is a slight overextension, and as you say, Raisy has flipped the switch. I was saying Cypher needs to secure the items effectively, and that's what he was trying to do, but he just pushed in ever so far, and Raisy has somehow flipped it on his head. 2-3 directs in a row, and look what happens. It's already tied up after such a long period of control and hard work from Cypher. It's all been undone.
It's unraveling. Like trying to climb a greasy pole, he's starting to slip.
But this is the first time in the map as well. Sorry, that Raisy's had such a strong period of control. So it's definitely... Cypher needs to think of what he can do now. And this is where the rail should come back into play a big feature for him.
Oh, exactly. He's got to adapt his play style. It was working, but Raisy's changed the tempo. Cypher needs to be able to show that he's got that backup plan. He is holding a close angle, knew exactly where Raisy was. He gets out of there though. Good use of the nail gun to execute the nail jump back up in towards the rail room. This sets him up for a clean rotation of both major items. Raisy's got this on lockdown.
He does. But we can see now Cypher not even showing because of that fact. He doesn't want to risk anything. Got the timing on the Mega now. He knows roughly when the Heavy's going to be, but he's taken a rail and a Pika that he needs to run. But also now Raisy realizes it's his time to shine. Cypher's low, he's got all the items, he can push.
Cypher being whittled down every given instance. I mean, his only blessing really is the fact there isn't too much time left and they're still tied. If he could somehow keep it like this, play an elaborate game of cat and mouse, or wait until he gets an edge, maybe that could be his best bet. But Raisy, with his eagle vision, sees the tail of this big girl, and she pushes her way back around, both of them missing their shots down, and Raisy still farming any item he wants.
The amount of damage Cypher is able to do without even Raisy getting shots off. That's his real skill.
But yeah, I mean, what, Raisy's had full rotations nearly twice, maybe 3 times now, and Cypher's keeping their health at least looking somewhat comparable to one another. The rail is being his biggest asset. It's by far his benefit, but when he gets a Pika slamming into his chest, it at least makes this one a bit more of a predicament. Won't matter though, as he's able to fight back, and Cypher, he's finally in control here. He's got way more stack to work with. Raisy's taking
risky.
a ton of damage.
Really risky from Raisy to stick around. Cypher respecting that though and not pushing in just yet. He might hit a rail here, and he does.
Sends him up in the air. Raisy tries to clean off that blood and will do so with that mega health going his way. He's got a bigger stack. Oh, used it against the charges round. Raisy! He nearly went flying off the ledge. Cypher's done so much damage. And he's got him close. Almost set him up on a date with a coroner, Dan. He wants to take him.
Jesus. My heart.
These rails
He's
are
dead.
Ridiculous. But the Pika comes out. He was still exposed. I think he might have thought that he had turned the corner. Instead, he was still peeking. Cypher just commits to getting the rail shot off. He's up 6-5, 30 seconds left.
Yeah, what can Raisy do? He's got no weapons. He has to commit. But Cypher's got all the advantage. If he gets one more frag, he doesn't even commit to this. He's just delaying Raisy. If Raisy goes up, he's taken a lot of damage. There's nothing he can do, but he's desperate. Can he hit that miracle shot? He can't, and Cypher's going to walk away 2-1 against all of our odds. Somehow Jackie's correct.
I told you, I had it all planned out. I knew he'd do it. Look, though, the Pika coming back through. It won't matter. It doesn't matter, Dan. He's 2 frags ahead. Cypher's done it. He's literally walked away with the 2-1 split. That is ridiculous. That was the closest series, map to map, I think we've had over the course of the entire tournament so far, and it is a Cypher upset.
I can't remember the last time I saw Raisy that hesitant in his aggression. I mean, Cypher taught him so many lessons that Raisy took a huge step back. There was a 2 or 3 minute period there where Raisy was full control.
Wow.
And he just didn't want to aggress because he wasn't confident that he could take Cypher on. And Cypher was just peeking and taking trip shots, and Raisy didn't know what to do. It honestly looked like Raisy was a little bit lost on that map on Awoken when Cypher had control, when Cypher was on the defense. So Cypher's back.
That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, welcome back, Cypher non-believers, boys. How we doing?
I mean, I'm kind of still reeling over the last 30 seconds or so of that Awoken map. That one moment where you hit the rail, you can only assume Raisy was expecting to kind of carry his movement momentum around the corner to be at a safe distance, and whatever happened, of course, Cypher to get that free damage in return, and it was the beginning of the end. It's crazy to have a map go that close and there to be such a kind of immediate out in the open mistake that causes it all to fall apart, and you don't see that happen to Raisy every day. I can't remember the last time I have ever seen that happen to Raisy in a competitive setting. The plan was to remove one of the killers early, but that plan absolutely backfired, and I mean, if you're in Cypher's shoes now, you're going to be pretty happy about that, I imagine.
Yeah, I think Raisy definitely made a bit of a mistake picking this matchup, either Cypher or Toxic, for his first game in the Stage 3 finals. Definitely backfired on him massively going down against Cypher like that, but I think ultimately Raisy made a few mistakes consistently by playing it overly passive when he was in control. There were numerous situations where he had essentially full control, he had a small lead, and he just switched on the defensive mode for the next 2 minutes of the game, giving Cypher essentially free reign of the map, all the weapons and resources that he needed, and then he just started falling behind.
Well, as Jackie would say, Cypher was living rent-free in his head. The fact is that if you just watch the last 2-3 minutes on Awoken, that is why Cypher is considered one of the greatest players of all time. The way in which he can play without items, just maintain strong position and deal unreturned damage, it meant Raisy didn't really know what to do. It didn't feel confident to make any moves. And then as soon as Cypher felt he had the initiative, he won back control and managed to kill Raisy within a matter of seconds. It was a masterclass of defensive play.
And it's also on top of those kind of fundamentals that Cypher brings to the table. There's the display of his clutch factor. We saw that in Blood Run, where he was moments away from losing the map and found a way. You know, within the last couple of seconds, the chase down come through, and that's the kind of stuff that's on a map like Blood Run. I know the final play came down to Raisy kind of overstaying his welcome near teleporter and taking a bit of extra damage that he shouldn't have taken. But the reality is, Cypher had an inch and he took a mile from it, and that was just to stay in the fight. So on top of the pure fundamentals that he carried all the way through, it was that comeback factor, the stuff that makes him famous, all in one good package.
And it's just also the presence of mind, composure and mechanical skills to even pull out a lot of those shots that he did, particularly on to finishing Blood Run. It's just, once again, it's just incredible to watch.